Well, lots of things. I'll cover the big items, and there are lots of more important ones that Evelien will cover. So, big items, we have an inclusive workplace policy that really highlights the fact that not only do we want diversity, we strive for diversity and we want the inclusion. And that has been rolled out, I think, last year. And that was really a first big step, and there were also a lot of communications around. I think that's an important one. Second important one, which is, of course, focused on a subset of diversity, is the gender equality plan. This is triggered by a bigger shift around Europe and understanding that it's important also for companies to think about gender equality in a much more deeper way. And this is also where we translated that gender equality plan into specific KPIs that are on our balanced scorecard. 25% of women in R&D, 25% of women in leadership positions by 2025. And even more ambitious is the same things by 2030, and you can guess the percentages that we would like by 2030. But that's really the top-down part.
Bottom up.
Yes.
To complement, we've been working on inclusive language guidelines, but this was really coming from people of Imec themselves who have written these with a lot of good examples on how to use it on a day-to-day basis. But also screening our job ads, for instance, on certain words that trigger certain groups, but not other groups, to make sure that we have a good balance there. We've also invested a lot in these, what I would call small nudges, things that raise awareness and desire to do something with this topic. For instance, the Got Your Back campaign, where we had shoelaces and small guidelines on how you can have each other's back, which is very important as well. We've had the Orange the World campaign, where we lit our clean room in Orange. So it's a campaign against violence against women. We also have a diversity and inclusion calendar with a lot of not just communication, but also small actions. For instance, send your Chinese colleagues an e-card for Chinese New Year and things like that. So small actions that really make a difference. Our largest personnel event, which was all about United by Diversity, people from Imec from everywhere were testifying on what it's like to work at Imec and coming from a different background, and explaining some about their culture, their language, and things like that. So that these are all these small nudges, but we make sure that we have a lot of them so that they all compile into this message, this culture that we think that this is very important, this inclusive workplace. And then last but not least, we've built up this grassroots network of people throughout Imec working on this topic. They, for instance, have a diversity, equity and inclusion book club where they read books and then discuss them and take some lessons learned out of these books for Imec. What could we implement within Imec, and also share this with the wider Imec community. And I even forgot the trainings, the Hack Your Bias training, the cultural awareness training, where we're also having these as e-learnings and rolling them out now in entire teams. So we don't only have those people that are already at the forefront and that would individually enroll for such a training, but that we can actually target whole teams with topics like this.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention that all of the top-level ones that you also mentioned, like screening job postings for inclusive language and so on, that also came from that grassroots network. They suggested, why shouldn't we do this? There are these easy tools that actually you can use, and now it's actually being used by HR. So that really works.
And they even built their own tool. And that's the advantage of having these engineers and IT people working also on a subject like this. They've built their own database and their own tool to actually very easy and fast scan all of our job ads and communication to see whether it's balanced enough in terms of language, whether it's inclusive enough.